Have you ever done a reading for somebody and wondered if their life was at stake? That's the subject of today's reading from a woman who wonders about her boyfriend's intentions. In this 5-card reading, she managed to pull 3 of the scariest cards in the tarot deck. Stay tuned to learn whether or not I thought her fears were valid. Hi everybody, I'm Sue Ellen Clayton. Welcome to my channel where we're learning how to read tarot 1 card at a time. In today's video, we'll be looking at 5 cards for a woman who is concerned about her boyfriend's intentions. I will be using the Rider-Waite Tarot, and there is a link below. This reading is from a question that was posted anonymously on Facebook by a woman who I will call Alexis. And she asked the question, what are my boyfriend's intentions towards me? Alexis drew 5 cards and you can see them here. They are the 2 of Cups, 4 of Cups, Death, Tower, and Devil. Before we look at each card individually, I'd like to share my first impressions. First, let's look at the progression. Let's start by looking at the sky. In the first card, we have a blue sky with clouds around the happy couple. In the next card, we have more clouds, but still a fairly bright sky. In the middle card, the sky is darker and we can see that the sun is either rising or setting. In the Tower, the sky has become very dark, and when we reach the Devil, the sky is black. I don't think it takes a master tarot reader to realize that things have gone from good to really, really bad. Something else to look at is the progression of the people. In the first card, the 2 of Cups, we see a couple that looks pretty happy despite the weird winged animal between them. In the 4 of Cups, we have a dejected-looking man, and the woman has disappeared. In the middle card, Death, one person is dead and the others are trying to either face death or avoid it. In the Tower, the couple look like they are plunging to their death. And in the final card, the Devil, the couple is chained and naked, and there is a huge scary creature between them. If we compare the couple in the 2 of Cups to the couple in the Devil, the difference is pretty stark and really dreadful. The final thing I want you to notice is the progression from the minor arcana to the major arcana. The first 2 cards represent day-to-day events that aren't life-changing and don't look like a big deal. But then we move to 3 major arcana cards, which represent situations of great importance in Alexis's life. And she's gotten the 3 most frightening cards in the major arcana, so the progression is pretty terrifying on the scale of life events. So just by looking at the cards, and without knowing any of the meanings, I can pretty confidently say that I don't think that Alexis's boyfriend's intentions are good. Now let's look at each of the cards individually, and we'll see if I stand by this interpretation at the end. The first card is the 2 of Cups. On first glance, the 2 of Cups appears to be a happy couple, and it is often interpreted that way. But let's dig a little deeper since I've already concluded that this relationship is not going to have a happy outcome. The couple are both wearing white closest to their body that indicate the purity of their intentions. They also both have dark hair, which indicates that they are not naive and have some life experience. The man is wearing a brightly colored tunic, very similar to the tunic worn by the Fool, which indicates that he wants to be noticed by her. His tunic is decorated with red and black flowers. The black flowers represent stability and red flowers represent passion. He also has a wreath of roses on his head that represents passion and a red belt that indicates passion. So in addition to his pure intentions, he is also passionate. Alexis is dressed very similarly to the High Priestess, which is number 2 in the major arcana. The High Priestess is all about going inward and relying on your intuition, which is represented by the color blue. She has a laurel wreath on her head, which indicates victory, so we can assume that she gets what she wants. The couple have 2 large cups between them. Cups can represent a womb, as opposed to wands, which represent a phallic symbol. So the fact that he is gently touching her cup can be interpreted as a sexual gesture. But here's where things might start to go a little crazy. She's not looking at him or touching him back. Alexis is peering into her cup. I interpret this to mean that Alexis's intuition is telling her that her love lies elsewhere, and that her boyfriend has realized that his love is not being reciprocated. The next indication that things might not be going as well as we think is that they are standing on a stage. I think of stages meaning two things in tarot. They are either separated from other people or they are playing a role. Both of these might be applicable. Above the couple, we see a lion head. Some people consider this to be a monster from Greek mythology called a chimera. It was a fire-breathing monster that was considered to be female. She had a lion's head, a goat's middle, and a dragon's rear. Her big weapon was that she could breathe fire. She was invincible because she was believed to have a lion's strength, a goat's cunning, and a snake's venom. It makes me wonder if the boyfriend changed his belief about Alexis when he interpreted her lack of touching him to mean that she didn't love him. So he began to see her secretly as a monster. There's one more symbol I wanted to point out, and that is the caduceus, which is the symbol of the two snakes between them. According to mythology, this is the staff of Asclepius, the Greek demigod of medicine, who was able to restore the health of the sick and bring the dead back to life. It was also a symbol of commerce and negotiation. So perhaps Alexis's boyfriend is holding out hope that their relationship could be healed, restored, or negotiated. In summary, this looks like a card that shows two people in love. However, we already know the end of the story. So I'm thinking that the boyfriend wanted to be loved by Alexis, that she intuitively knew that he wasn't the right person for her, and he created a scenario in his head where she was a monster. He continued to play the role of the lover and hoped that the relationship would be healed. I'd just like to pause for a moment and make a comment. I am reading these cards for Alexis, an anonymous woman on Facebook, and I'm doing the best I can. I've made a whole video on reading intuitively, which I've linked to in the comments, and you can get better doing intuitive readings when you don't censor yourself and trust your judgment. That's what I'm doing here, even though I'm second-guessing myself and thinking I'm sounding stupid and wondering if I'll even post this video. Obviously, I decided to post it since you're watching it. However, Alexis is not in front of me, and I'm doing this reading for instructional purposes. So you might feel that I've made a lot of crap up with no proof, and that is totally valid. However, I'm going to continue trusting my intuition and constructing this narrative, and we'll see where it takes us. So let's continue. The second card is the Four of Cups. Here we see Alexis's boyfriend sitting under the tree looking completely dejected. I believe that he's reliving the moment where he reached out to touch her hand and she did nothing. The cup he's seeing is her cup that she held outstretched in her right hand. The white cloud could actually represent the white garment that she is wearing. At this point, the boyfriend has realized that Alexis is not attracted to him and she's not available to him. He's wounded. He's sulking. He's depressed. He's shutting down. Perhaps he's looking at the cups in front of him and reliving the rejection over and over again. I think we can all relate to this, or at least I certainly can. Someone does something to hurt you and you can't let it go. Let's say your significant other forgets your birthday. You can't let it go. You keep thinking about it. You don't consider that he had a big project at work and was stressed and preoccupied. You know it means that he doesn't love you. He never did. This goes round and round in your mind until you decide that it's time to find a good divorce lawyer because there's no way that you can recover from this. That's just an example, but I think that's what's going on in the boyfriend's head. He's not looking at the world around him and the fact that he's in a beautiful location, on a gorgeous day, sitting on a hill under a tree. He's feeling sorry for himself and totally focused on what he doesn't have, and that is Alexis. And then I had another thought that you might think is either brilliant or crazy. I realized that the three cups he's looking at are his fantasies, and each fantasy is explained in the next three cards. The third card is the Death card. The Death card seldom means that you are going to die. It signifies endings, transformations, and new beginnings. In terms of their relationship, I think that the boyfriend has concluded that his relationship with Alexis is over. The question is, what now? How should he deal with this awful situation in his life? On the Death card, we see that he has several options that he's considering to help him deal with the end of his relationship. He could kill himself. He could end up like the king, which is dead. He could try to channel the priest, summon his faith, and convince himself that Alexis not reciprocating his love was God's will, and there is someone better for him. He could pretend that the breakup didn't happen and avoid thinking about it, like the maiden in white. Or he could do the mindfulness thing and view the situation with curiosity and non-judgment, like the young child and all of the meditators in the group. He's got many options that he needs to think about. The fourth card is the Tower. The Tower indicates a major unexpected event in your life, which could include the boyfriend's betrayal by Alexis. In this dramatic card, we see a stone watchtower being destroyed. It was built on a mountaintop that looks very steep and difficult to access. It also has no visible doors and 3 windows. So theoretically, the tower should be strong and safe and indestructible. Yet the tower has been destroyed by lightning and the couple is now in free fall down the mountain. I think this is a metaphor for how the boyfriend feels. He's been brought to his foundation. He'd like to see Alexis be just as upset as he is. He doesn't care if he goes down with her. He'd love to see her suffer and experience a life in shambles. And that brings us to the Devil card. The Devil represents temptations, obsessions, compulsions, and addictions. It is about giving your power away to attitudes and behaviors that are destroying you. And I think that is what the boyfriend is doing. The background is pitch black and they're likely in a cave. Black signifies negativity, sadness, guilt, depression, and emptiness. The devil is a scary-looking creature with gray horns. The horns symbolize that he is uncivilized. The wings are from a vampire bat, and bats suck the blood out of their prey. The color gray signifies gloom, depression, and unhappiness. His feet look like a bird of prey and can signify that he is preying on the victims. Above the devil's head, we see an upside-down pentagram. When facing upward, a pentagram shows the human body with the head, arms, and legs. Among other things, pentagrams offer protection from evil spirits. When the pentagram is facing downward, it shows that all positive energies are destroyed. It is also a position when the open legs are facing upward, which symbolizes that sexual energy is more important than the logical and spiritual energy that are dominant when the head is on top of the body. So I think that the boyfriend's sexual thoughts about Alexis are particularly messing with his head. Remember back to the Two of Cups when we said cups represent a woman's womb and she rebuffed his advance? In the Devil card, we see how the boyfriend has reimagined his relationship with Alexis. Now they are naked. Alexis has a tail that is made of grapes, and that represents the forbidden fruit. The boyfriend's tail is made of flames that represent desire and sexuality. Note that his tail has been lit by the devil's torch, which shows that he has given into temptation. I think this might mean that the boyfriend's given into his dark thoughts and has become obsessed with Alexa, especially sexually, to the point that his life has become very dark and she is all he can focus on. So we have to answer Alexis's question, what are my boyfriend's intentions towards me? I don't think that the boyfriend wants to physically hurt Alexis, but he has been fantasizing about it to make himself feel better. He would be happy to have Alexis end up in a black cave, chained in front of a devil, as prey for an uncivilized creature who would suck the blood out of her. But at this point, his thoughts have become obsessions, and he is being more harmed by the situation than she is. She disappeared after the first cup in the reading. The rest is about the boyfriend's mind going to dark places and obsessing about appropriate punishments. So let's summarize the reading. We began with the Two of Cups, which is normally interpreted as representing a happy couple. The boyfriend is gently touching Alexis's cup, which can be interpreted as a sexual gesture. But she's not looking at him or touching him back. Instead, she's peering into her cup and realizing that her love is elsewhere. And the boyfriend realizes that his love is not being reciprocated. We also noted that the couple was on stage and their feelings might not be real. We also see a monster between them, which made me wonder if the boyfriend started to secretly see Alexis as a monster. Despite that, he was holding out hope that their relationship could be healed, restored, or negotiated. The next card is the Four of Cups. we see Alexis's boyfriend sitting under the tree looking completely dejected and reliving his rejection. He's looking at the 3 cups below him that represent fantasies about how he'd like to get revenge on Alexis for breaking his heart. The 3rd card is the Death card, and the boyfriend is pondering how he would like to deal with the breakup. He has lots of options, from killing himself to pretending it didn't happen. In the end, he fantasizes about taking control like the skeleton on the white horse and perhaps killing Alexis. The 4th card is the Tower. This is a metaphor for how the boyfriend feels. He's being rocked to his foundation. He wants Alexis to be just as devastated about the breakup as he is. And that brings us to the Devil card, which is about giving your power away to attitudes and behaviors that are destroying you, which is exactly what the boyfriend is doing about Alexis. I think this might mean that he's given into his dark thoughts and has become obsessed with Alexis to the point that his life has become very dark and she is all he can focus on. So we have to answer Alexis's question, what are my boyfriend's intentions towards me? I don't think that the boyfriend has any intention to physically hurt Alexis, although I do believe that he has been fantasizing about hurting her to make himself feel better, and in very dramatic ways. He's thinking about ways that he could make her suffer, in ways that include having either of them die, falling out of a tower, or ending up in a pitch-black cave, chained up in front of an uncivilized creature who sucks his blood out of his prey. But at this point, I think that his thoughts have become obsessions, and he is harmed by these dark fantasies and needs to let them go. The Devil can symbolize being in a prison of your own making, and I think that's exactly where the boyfriend is. Although the couple appears trapped, if you look closely at the Devil card, you can see that the chains are loosely around their necks, and they could escape if they wanted to. So I feel like Alexis is safe, and it is her boyfriend who is in a very dark place. I wanted to make a couple of final comments. Clearly, I changed course a bit from my first impression. It was immediately obvious to me from the cards that the boyfriend did not have good intentions toward Alexis, and I assumed that he wanted to hurt her. And I think that would be a legitimate conclusion from the reading, and if Alexis was sitting in front of me, I would advise her to be extremely careful. But the more I continued with the reading, the more it seemed like her boyfriend was hurt and engaging in fantasies about how he could pay Alexis back for hurting his feelings. If I hadn't seen the first 2 cards, I would have totally believed that Alexis's life was in danger. My intuitive sense is that the last 3 cards are just fantasies and that the boyfriend is suffering greatly. I have never done a reading for someone with this kind of cards, and I hope I never do, but it was an interesting exercise with a heavy subject and some difficult cards. I am very grateful that this was just an intellectual exercise and that Alexis was not my client, so I don't have to worry about her safety. I hope that this video gave you some ideas that you can apply to your tarot practice. Please leave a comment if you'd like to share what you learned. And if you're not already a subscriber, I'd love to have you subscribe to this channel so that you don't miss anything. I'll see you next time.